Well, hi everyone. Welcome back and welcome to our first workshop presentation from the Office of National Fellowship. And hi everyone on Zoom. If you can see me, I can't see you unfortunately. But yeah, we will have our Associate Director, Bonnie, monitoring the chat. So if you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat. My name is Tina Liu. You're welcome to call me Ting or Tina. I love both. I am your Assistant Director for Office of National Fellowship. And yeah, I'm really excited to be talking today to you about Gilman and Freeman-Asia, two of our need-based study abroad scholarship awards. Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones to talk about, especially for Gilman, because I did Gilman when I was a student, when I was in your shoes. And that was my first time working with ONF as a student, which I didn't really realize what was happening at the time, but now I'm here, so it all worked out. But yeah, I wanted to tell you a little more about ONF. This is like our fancy definition, but essentially, we want to help you. And we want to help you through a very specific experience, and that is to apply to fellowships. So as you can see, fellowships and scholarships, there is a slight difference. Both of them involve funding, thankfully, but fellowships provide funding and experience. So I know we're going to be talking about two scholarships today, but they're not kind of the traditional scholarship where like, here's money, do whatever you want, or like it offsets your tuition or all that good stuff. But with fellowships and with the awards we're talking about today, it's really connected to a specific experience that you're going to do. And in this case, abroad. So we'll talk more about that. And there's all types of fellowships out there, including like research, including graduate school funding, undergraduate funding, studying abroad, all of that. And they're usually, like the name suggests, national and competitive and selective, but it's not impossible to get, right? Every year we have people from our school winning. And why can't it be you? And something we love to say at our office is it's not just about winning, right? I'm sure your parents probably told you that. It's not just about winning. Yeah, and that's true because we want to help you grow and develop holistically as a person to get something out of it. Because, y'all probably going to have to apply to jobs, to grad school, all that stuff. And it's kind of a similar process, right? So even winning is not the end goal, but getting to learn more about yourself, what it is that you want to do, and how to talk about that, how to apply, is also a win, right? So here's kind of the breakdown, the three main things that we do. First, we tell you about the opportunities that are out there, promoting a lot of different fellowship opportunities. We work with over 60 different awards. But anytime you find something and you bring it to us, we're so happy to share that and like help you go through the process as well. So the second thing we do is applicant identification. So some of you may have received the email, or sometimes maybe another faculty or staff have referred you to us. We really try to be proactive and help you almost play like matchmaking, right? Like match you to what year you are, what can you apply for. Because a lot of fellowships have certain requirements, like you can only apply in your third year, you can only apply in your fourth year, or first and second year, or in certain fields. So we really do our best to try to match you with the right opportunity. And lastly, we love to mentor you in the process. So that could look like helping you go through your essay drafting process, editing, finding the right recommenders if the application requires it, and yeah, continue to help you grow as a whole person. So here's a couple of reasons to work with us. One is to gain clarity about your personal values and goals, career aspiration, improve your writing ability and communication skills, prepare for those postgraduate opportunities, continue to network, and discover other fellowship opportunities. So yeah, that's a basic overview of our office, but now let's get into the good stuff. While you're here today, we want to start by talking about the Gilman Scholarship. So yeah, here's just kind of a little map of some of the places that our Gilman scholars from FSU have gone to. Yeah, well, raise your hand if you see a spot on here that you want to go to. Yeah, okay, what are
what's it called? I'm leaning towards China.
China, cool, okay. Yeah, I was trying to go to China, but then I had to go to abroad. I mean, anyone else? You see something? Yeah, Brazil. Brazil, very cool. Yeah, so as you can see, it's a very broad scope of destination, different opportunities. And A little more about why Gilman exists. So Gilman exists as, think of it as a source of portable financial assistance that can be used to support any credit-bearing study abroad program or internship. We'll talk more about what that means, but that's kind of what it is in a nutshell. So the goal is really to expand those opportunities for students, particularly from underserved, underrepresented communities, to study abroad in, and really anywhere you can imagine, right? That's safe, obviously. And so the award can provide up to $5,000 to study for however long you want, from a semester, a couple weeks to a whole year. And there's also supplemental award. So that means is on top of up to 5,000. So there's a range between 2,000 to 5,000. And if you do something like study a critical need language, there's a very specific list of the type of languages, like including Chinese, Hebrew, Portuguese. Yeah, so there's a list on there. If you do have a language component to your program, then you can apply for that extra award. It is an extra essay, but for an extra award. And same goes for if you're pursuing a STEM opportunity, like STEM coursework or internship. So let's kind of zoom into like who's qualified. So for Gilman, unlike Freeman-Asia, you must be a citizen or national. So not permanent resident, but citizen or national, which includes, I looked up that meant because I wasn't really sure. So if you're from one of like the territories or American Samoa, that kind of status. So just be aware of that. And you want to be in good academic standing during the application and while you're abroad. The most important qualification is receive the Pell Grant at the time of application, or when if you know that you will receive, let's say you're not receiving it now, but you know you're going to receive it in the summer. Yes.
So that means like if you got one like this semester that we just started,
yeah,
and we're applying this semester, then we're good.
Yes, totally.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you don't even need to have a study abroad program fully locked in yet. You just have to be in the process of applying to one. And we'll also talk about why that's important, because you want to really talk about one program that you're interested in. And another side to Gilman that doesn't apply to like 90% of people, but if you do have family who is currently active, an active duty military member, or you're receiving any type of Title IV federal aid, then that automatically puts you in a pool to be considered for the flat 5,000 award. So that applies to you. Definitely come talk to us. The deadline for that is also a little bit different. Now, in terms of program, again, it must be credit bearing, which just means that it needs to have transferable credit back to what you can bring back to FSU. It could be given by other schools, but it needs to be a credit bearing experience. It needs to be a country or area with travel advisory level 1 or 2, defined by the state. So my story with Gilman is I applied to China, got in, and at the time I applied, it was level 1 or 2. And then when I was getting ready to go, it moved up to 3 or 4. So I had to take a different program, and Gilman allows you to do that as well. So not to scare you, but just so that you're aware of that. The great thing about Gilman too is no minimum program length. So yeah, if you wanted to go for a weekend, go, but like you probably want to go for longer than that. And lastly, show proof of acceptance in program after being named recipient. So that could be like a receipt or like some sort of acceptance letter after you get the award. So again, like don't need to have already gotten into a program in order to apply for the scholarship, but eventually you need to prove that you got into that. All right, so what is it that they're looking for? Like what makes you competitive for the scholarship? So this is a selection criteria. So the first these three are really going to be from the main 4 essays that you will write. They're 500 words each, really not that bad. But what they're looking for is the impact of where you want to go, what you want to do there, and how that directly connects to your academic and career goal. So that really is the key. You want to define that, be really clear, really specific. You don't want to be generic of like, because studying abroad is great. We know that, but like, why is it great? Why is that going to be helpful for you in the long run? Preparedness for program abroad. So Gilman does not require a reference letter, doesn't require resumes. You have to sort of like sell yourself a little bit, right? Like tell them about what you have done. How are you going to be able to succeed abroad? And what I love telling students is the difference between adapting and succeeding, right? How would you be able to adapt, but what's the difference between just making it through a program, but showing them that actually I'm going to succeed and go beyond while I'm abroad. So on top of that, the first two essays are more about this. And the second two essay is really about representing America abroad and hometown impact. So you want to talk about very specific plans of what you can do abroad to showcase what it means to be an American, to be a citizen diplomat, and what you can do when you're back. So all of this is on the website. You don't have to memorize any of this, but this is just kind of a general what they're looking for. And for CNLA, critical need language and STEM, those essay prompts are really about those programs. All right, so where do you start? Maybe you're thinking like, yes, I want to do this, or like, I'm not really sure. Always go to their website and take a look carefully at all the eligibility logistic requirements and look through some of the existing resources they have, their blog posts, their podcasts, or videos, just to see like, is this really something that matches what you see yourself doing? And then you're ready, take a look at each of those essay prompts like we just talked about and really break them down with specific examples and ideas. And the second part is choosing a program. There's so many programs out there. So I've listed out a couple from FSU and also third-party providers. Something to be aware of is that the average study abroad program ranges above the 5,000 range, right? So you really do want to consider how can you budget for the whole experience, what kind of program can really offer you assistance with that or like have options. And some of them do offer extra scholarships for Gilman recipients and Pell Grant students. So you can look into that, like CA Kappa has extra scholarships. And third, schedule an appointment with us. We'd love to meet with you individually. All you have to do is email us with 2 weeks of your availability and we can go through that essay writing process. Some fun facts is that the Gilman acceptance rates for students who work with us is almost 3 times as likely to be accepted. So this past cycle we had in the fall, we had a total of 7 recipients and 6 of them worked with our office very closely to go over their essay writing process. So, all right. Here's a general overview of when things are due. So the next deadline is March 5th. And that's for if you want to study abroad this upcoming summer, this fall, next spring. And here are the basic requirements of things that the application calls for. You can also take a look at a PDF of the sample application. Just to keep in mind that they will ask you for a broad advice and financial aid advisor. And people often like kind of freak out about it, but it's really not that big of a deal. You just need to email them, tell them what you want to do, tell them to notify them about the deadline, and we will also help you with the process of finding the right person to approve your certification. Because I just want to make sure that A, you're not going to get abducted while you're abroad, like you're going somewhere legit and like a program, right? And B, like you do meet their eligibility for being a Pell Grant student. Any questions so far about Gilman? Yeah.
I think you said it will be available that we could use it if we submit it now before like next fall, next spring. Would that include the breaks that you speak also?
Yeah, so you can use it for this summer, this fall, and next summer. So always the next 3 semesters. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, but when it comes to writing the essay, so then you said the first one we have to write why we want to go to that that country, that like place in the first place. If you wanted to apply for multiple of them, how would you go about that?
That's a really good question. So you still have to pick one to talk about, but let's say for some reason you don't get into that program, or excuse me, you change your mind. They do allow you to submit a program change, but it might adjust the amount that you're awarded based on what they determine like is the need for whichever program you're switching to. So yes, theoretically you can have multiple programs lined up for the scholarship. When you apply, you want to talk about one specific. Yeah. Yes.
So if you apply and you get in for like, let's say you want to do fall this year, can you reapply for like, or let's say you want to do summer this year, can you reapply and do spring of next year?
Like if you get it, or
Yeah, if you get it.
okay, you can only get it once.
Okay, you can only
Yeah.
get it once, gotcha.
Yes. Yeah, and if you decide not to use it, let's say you apply for the cycle, you get it, you apply for summer, and you don't have using it, you can still use it for the spring, but you can't reapply if you used it this summer.
Gotcha.
That
So
makes
it's like only
Yeah.
if you don't use it for the summer or fall,
Yeah.
you can do it.
Right, because you could just
Okay.
submit a program change.
Okay, perfect.
Anything to add? Cool. All right, moving on to Freeman-Asia. This one is similar, slightly different from Gilman. It's a little more regional specific to Asia, obviously. But it hasn't opened quite yet, so we're just gonna go through what we know so far. But once the application opens in February, we'll have a better idea of if there's any updates. So Freeman-Asia provides need-based scholarships for undergrad students to study abroad in East or Southeast Asia, and they have a list of those specific countries that qualify. And yeah, they will cover program costs, airfare, basic living costs, local transportation, anything involved in that abroad program. The grant amount does vary based on how long you want to go. It can be stacked on with other scholarships as well. So you could theoretically apply to Gilman and Freeman-Asia if you're planning to go to Asia. If that makes sense. So yes, these are some extra important notes, but right now everything is subject to change until the official application opens in February. Some eligibility, unlike Gilman, you must be a US citizen or permanent resident. So that opens up the application pool a little bit more. You do need to be an undergraduate student in good standing. And in terms of the financial need, to demonstrate that, they will ask for your student aid index calculated through FAFSA. So from what that sounds like is not necessarily just Pell Grant students, but any form of financial need that you submit and they approve. So you must have at least one term of enrollment remaining when you return, which is also different from Gilman. So for Gilman, like for me, I actually extended my graduation by a summer to just do Gilman my very last summer. But you need it for Freeman-Asia, you do have to have an extra term remaining. Here's the list of countries that qualify in Asia, and you must have applied or been accepted by a study program that lasts at least 8 weeks for summer or 12 weeks for a semester. So there is program length requirements, and they will have some preferences and requirements like have little experience studying abroad before, cannot have received it twice. And they do prioritize, not require, but if you are planning to study a language in Asia or participate in a study abroad language program taught by the host faculty member and demonstrate a sincere need of incorporating East Asian studies into your future active professional plans. All right, so the application timeline, you can expect to apply the term before your study abroad program begins. So I think this would ideally fit the best if you already are, let's say you're already planning to go to China this summer. Then yeah, like make those plans, and while this opens up now in February, you can apply to use it for that semester. So all we know right now it's opening in February, so we'll stay into, if you hear from it, you can come talk to us about that too. And there is a service project component upon returning to share your experience with your college campus or community. That's very similar to Gilman as well, so having a project return. Cool, and here are some other abroad awards that are not need-based, but can still help you study abroad, whether during your undergrad or later on. So if you're interested in any of those and want to talk through them, just schedule an appointment with us to talk more about what could be the best fit. And this is our small but mighty team. So if you email us, one of us will get back to you, but you can also find our workshop schedule and more information about fellowships on our website and Instagram and LinkedIn. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have, and we will pause the recording here for Q&A unless there's any questions that we want answered.
No questions in chat so far.
Okay, cool. See? All right.